Paul, looking back on Tuesday night's game down at Millwall, had time to reflect. What are your considered thoughts on the game?
Considered thoughts on the game? Considered thoughts? That's a good question. Listen, I genuinely felt, especially first half, we didn't play well. I thought Millwall were not by far the better team, but we're on top, possibly should have deservedly took the lead. From there, we find ourselves 1-0 up at half time. Second half comes out and, you know, probably nothing in the game then at any point. Get the penalty on 62, and I think it's fair to say if the penalty goes in, then it would have been a different result due to the change in atmosphere in the stadium, the fact that you're 2-0 up and you can probably sit deeper and defend a bit more, and all of the above. And a minute later it's 1-1, the stadium's euphoric, Millwall are aggressive off the front foot, and you know the game's gone away from you in a heartbeat, and that's football. It's people keep saying it's an unforgiving league, it's all the above. The games are demanding, and you've got to play well in each game. You've got to turn up, and for the teams who are showing the most consistency, the likelihood is they're the teams who'll be at the top end of the table, and that's probably the case. For ourselves, there is inconsistencies in there, but what do we expect? Come on, you know what I mean? It's where you're at, it's where we're at as a club, and sometimes managing where you're at as a team is important. We all want to win away from home, we all want to be top of the league. Unfortunately, that can't be the case all the time.
14 games into the championship season, I suppose it just underlines how much you've got to fight for every single point in this league.
The games are different, every game offers a different challenge. You know, we're going into a run of fixtures now from West Brom last week to Millwall, Sheffield, Leeds, Middlesbrough. That we know it's tough, we're not stupid, you don't hide behind something and everything's going to be alright. Within that, you know, as we've gone along, and I'm not going to start speaking about injuries and all that stuff, I'm not. You know, I'm not a manager like that. Within that, every club has its own difficulties. For us, then, managing them difficulties is important. Managing people's expectations is important, which is what football's about now. And also managing the players' expectations. You know, that can be a downer. We've lost a goal away from home again, 82 minutes. You know, it's another goal, Norwich 86, 87, you know, Villa. And all of a sudden it becomes in people's minds, and you've got to clear that. You've got to clear that to realise where you're at, what you're trying to achieve. There's teams below us at the minute like Aston Villa and Stoke. We're doing great. And within that, sometimes people don't feel that.
And just looking at the nature of the championship, sitting in mid-table, but you're only 6 points off the top. It's so congested this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the case, and I think for us, you know, it's every team in the division will have expectations. And I think for me as a manager, and I don't know how the other managers feel, I can't speak to them, they have to be realistic. For us, we know our realistic expectations. When we have a good run like we've had, sometimes they get a little bit carried away. And sometimes when we've had a bad run, and we haven't really had a bad run, we've had our defeats like everyone else, we haven't had a bad run yet, then expectations drop dramatically. So for me as a manager, managing them, managing the players to achieve what we believe we can achieve is important. Along the way, the games are fantastic, none more different than tomorrow. You know, every game's a different challenge. Every team you face is so strong and have threats, and the next week or two is going to be a really tough one, but a really exciting one as well.
You mentioned the word excitement there, and you mentioned sort of runs of form, and I suppose fans get a bit carried away and excited at what this group could achieve given what they've already done.
Yeah, again, I think we've shown on our days that when everything goes your way, what we can do, and then on the opposite side of that, we've also had naivety and all the different stuff, and that's management, that's football. You know, every manager will know his team. I know that's a stupid thing to say, and he'll know what's in them. You know, for these group of players, for me, especially when you've come up into the division like we have, and people will always make different excuses of this and that and the other. What we can achieve, we don't know. I always say it's a long race, and at the finishing line, that's where we'll finish, albeit we'll have had the suspensions, the injuries, the bad luck, the bad referees, you can list all them. But we'll have also had the days when luck's gone our way and we've had a bit of fortune. So staying focused on what we're trying to do, being competitive in games, that's the key. You know, we don't go away from home wanting to get behind the ball and hang on for results. We want to be the best team on the pitch. And in a league where there's some fantastic teams, it's not always easy to be that, and it won't always be the case.
In terms of the team news then, how are you looking ahead of tomorrow's game?
Fantastic. Massey's back. Jacobs is back. Griggy's been away and he's recovered. No, listen, it is what it is. We're a little bit getting stretched. I think the team the other night on Tuesday would have been a realisation to our supporters of what we need to do now and again and what we have to manage and all the above. So we go to Sheffield United tomorrow with a squad of players that's wanting to win the game.
One player to ask you on, Nick Powell, he seemed to pull up a bit on Tuesday. You've had time to assess him, but also Lee Evans, is he going to be available, or have Sheffield United ruled him out?
Sheffield United have ruled Lee out for some unknown reason. It's due to a loan situation that I still can't grasp. He's our player, the loan, the agreement's gone through, so I don't grasp that. I don't know why Leonard was allowed to play for Millwall and Evans isn't for us. I physically can't get my head around that one, but that's up to Chris Wilder and Sheffield United. Do you know, we've paid for the player, or we're paying in the process of paying for Lee, so I don't grasp that. But that's football. Powley was sore after the West Brom game, and it's tough with Powley, you know, for us as a team. It's hard, we've got to manage him, and it's when I take him off early, I know it frustrates our fans, it frustrates me. We don't want to have what we believe is the best player in the league not on the pitch. That's not common sense. Managing him, and obviously he's pulled up the other night, and the likelihood is that, you know, he probably won't be available tomorrow. But that's football, and we have to live with that. So
you've had obviously the 6 lone players you've got. You can only put 5 in the matchday squad. If Lee's unavailable, does that mean Anthony Robinson's likely to come back in?
You can ask me some questions, but don't start picking me team now. Come on. You can bring the away form up, and we're not doing great. Don't start picking me team. The loans are what they are, and the scenarios are what they are. We know around the loans, stroke injuries, stroke everything else, you have to manage situations. We have to manage that situation tomorrow.
And it's a big challenge going to Sheffield United, a side going really well under Chris Wilder.
What I have to say, you know, I've from the teams I've seen this year, for me they're the best team in the division. I have to say that. I think they have all the right fits in all the right places. I think Chris has put a team together without being extravagant and spending the monies that other teams are spending, but they're good. They're very good to watch. They're very aggressive in a proper way, a football aggressive, where they get men forward, they hurt you. They've got people in all areas of the pitch, and you know, for me, as I say, they are the best team that I've seen without a shadow of a doubt, and I've got to say that. It's a massive challenge for us tomorrow. They're a very strong team, they're a good team, they've got good players, and you know, it's going to be a really tough game for us tomorrow, but that's what we come in this division for. Do you know our record last year in League One, where everyone kept saying to us, you're the best team with Blackburn, it's your money's, all the above. It's not the case this year. The games are challenging, and tomorrow's a really big challenge for us, but it's one we're looking forward to, that's for sure.
You mentioned the amount of players they get forward. I suppose it's about keeping your concentration defensively then.
You're getting very good at this football, you are. You're picking teams and Sheffield United test you, and they test you in a really good way. They're brave, they're an exciting team to watch. They really are. I watched them at Blackburn, whatever it was, 2 weeks ago, and I thought they were excellent. I really did. I've watched quite a few games this year, and I've got to say I thought on the night they were excellent, and Blackburn are a good side. I thought they were terrific all over the pitch. They've got strength and depth. The squad Chris has put together is very good. The style of play is very good. Do you know, from set pieces to strong, listen, you can keep going on about them, but eventually, like everyone else, we've got to go there and we've got to believe we can win. We have to impose at some point in the game our style of play, albeit whatever that may be. And we've got to create chances and score goals, because if you don't do them things, you won't win football matches.